I am live on Facebook and Instagram this morning to talk about the Real Estate License Act changes that just came into law on Friday the 9th, and how that is effectively going to end wholesaling as we know it previously here in Illinois. We're also going to talk about go through some of the alternatives that people have been talking about engaging in, and the legality of those options. And we will also talk about how this is going to affect the other players in the real estate industry, including title companies, attorneys, and other brokers. So again, my name is Alexis Hart McDowell. I'm a licensed real estate attorney here in Chicago. I help real estate investors and owners build their businesses and their bottom lines by helping them focus on profits, not paperwork. You can reach me at enterpriseesquire.com. You can get my email newsletter that went out, breaking news about this last evening. Please sign up for that as changes in this area continue to happen, as this law is implemented and executed and cases come about. You'll get updates to that. So please join my newsletter. Go to enterpriseesquire.com, click on contact us, and then sign up for the custom legal and business updates. Okay, so please join the newsletter so that you get notifications about these lives and any other changes in the law, okay, in real estate in general. Okay, so let's just start right off. So what is going on? What's all the commotion about? What is everybody talking about? People are mad, and I'm talking big mad. And this is why. Because the Real Estate License Act of 2000 was due to sunset, and the Governor Pritzker, just signed the revision and the update into law. And this just happened on Friday, okay, August 9th. Senate Bill 1872, it is now a law. It was effective immediately, and it's Public Law 101-357, okay? It essentially changed the definition of a broker, okay? And we're going to go over what that definition is. Now, under the law, you know, they have these, it's in the law, section 1-10. It gives you the definition of a broker, okay? And what they added was under section 5, that whoever engages in selling, buying, or offering to buy or sell, marketing for sale, exchanging or dealing in contracts, even assignable contracts, will now need a real estate broker's license. Okay, so all those wholesalers out there, and for those of you who don't know what wholesaling is, you can check out my website, go to the blog, and then search for wholesaling. I have about 4 different articles that'll break down for you what wholesaling is. And essentially, it was flipping contracts. So you enter into a contract to purchase something, you don't actually close on it, and then you flip it to an end buyer, because a contract is technically not real estate. It's a personal property issue, so you're assigning your personal interest in that contract. A lot of people were able to engage in real estate investing without a real estate broker's license and make a lot of money because they didn't need this license. Because to get the license, you have to do a criminal background check, and some people are unable to pass that, but they were still able to make a decent living and even create some wealth and you know, have a life and income in the real estate industry. Okay. Another restriction is, and how they're defining broker is, if you can only do one of our traditional wholesale deals in any 12-month period. So any 12-month period, you can only do one wholesale deal. Now, so if you do any of those activities, one or more of those activities, 2 or more times in a 12-month period, then they're going to require you to have a broker's license. All right. And I want to make clear, because a lot of people are, you know, having these different alternatives and different discussions, and we're going to get into detail on that. But there was a change in the language, because I had been following this, and on Friday, and when I had seen it, and I posted my blog on Monday, the language was completely different than what it is right now. All right. So on Friday, the bill that I had a whole definition of wholesaling is the practice of entering into contracts, blah, blah, blah. They deleted all of that sometime later on Friday or even Monday, and this new definition of broker was included, and all of that changed around. So I noticed that. I didn't know if they put one up in error or something, because it wasn't announced that this particular one was signed on Friday, but it came out Monday that this one was signed. So you know, they really went to great lengths to modify the definition of broker and to take out some other language, to not be so constrained or narrow, but to broaden it. And if they do that, it's for a reason. So everybody who's looking for a way to get around it, they've made this so broad that they can catch you up. And at the end of the day, they want you to have a broker's license. Okay, so just be aware of that. All right. Let's go on and talk about why they changed it. They changed it for consumer protection purposes. Everything they do is for consumer protection purposes. Now, we know that the real estate brokers don't like you all trading in their area without a license and taking some of their money, okay? And I'm not knocking it. I'm a real estate attorney. I'm a real estate investor. I'm in this game. I understand it. I'm not knocking anybody else's hustle, okay? But at the end of the day, the laws are enacted to protect consumers and for their safety. So they don't want deals going down where the seller doesn't know that their property is getting ready to be sold for more than what you went under contract for. They want full disclosure on things. They want disclosure of self-interest. They want disclosure of dual agencies. They really want you to be upfront about everything when it comes with consumer protection. You know, the buzzword right now is, you know, transparency. How are you all being transparent in your business practices? And so you all know that some deals fall apart because the seller found out that you were selling it for more or whatever, and they're like, everybody needs to all be on the same page and on the same playing field all at the same time. All right. So it's really for consumer protection. The consequences if you violate this statute is up to $25,000 fine for each offense. So each time you do this, if you do this more than once in a 12-month period, you're risking up to a $25,000 fine for each offense that you do. So you determine for yourself if it's worth the risk. All right. And don't think you're going to just skirt under the law and, you know, won't be found out. All these brokers out here who paid for all of this training, education, and their license and their continuing education, they know who you are because you've worked with them. The attorneys know who you are because you've worked with them. They're going to tell. And we're going to talk about how this affects the other players as well. All right. Now, what can you do? Because people are like, okay, it's a new law. Well, what can I do? I still do this. I need to earn a living. What are my options here? I love options. Let's talk about them. Unfortunately, I personally don't think a lot of them are pretty good. But again, this just came into law on Friday. And the law is going to evolve, and there'll be cases and interpretations that are coming about. Just don't find yourself on the wrong side of those interpretations. All right. So first and foremost is get a broker's license. With this change in the law as well, they reduced the amount of, I believe, pre-license hours from 90 to 75, and then did some other changes with post-licensing hours after the fact. So they did lower some things. Also, you don't have to be 21 to get the license anymore. You have to be 18. You can be 18. I think there's some additional requirements if you're 18. So high school graduates and can get a real estate broker's license if they meet some other requirements as well. And that's the number one thing. Get a broker's license. You all have been wholesaling, some of you all your whole lives. You all have built businesses around that. This is not going to stop you. Get in a class, take you 3-4 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever it is you need, pass the licensing exam, and then you can go back to wholesaling. But you are going to be subject to all of those ethical and regulatory guidelines and requirements, essentially. All right. So let's talk about the real estate licensing. It is governed by the Illinois Department of Professional and Financial Regulation. So they do require a criminal background check. And I know a lot of people are in the real estate industry who have a criminal background. but it doesn't necessarily preclude you from getting a real estate broker's license. You have to disclose it, number one, because if you have a conviction, I should say, and you don't disclose it, that's like an automatic bar to getting a license, unless they find some other way and are like, it's okay, it was just a mishap or you forgot or whatever. But I wouldn't risk that as either. They will look at the criminal history. They look at the timing. How long has it been since that conviction? It looks, they look at the type of crime. They really look at what are called crimes of moral turpitude. So dishonesty, fraud, embezzlement, tax evasion, theft, things like that. So if you engaged in some of those, you may have an uphill battle. I think I am hopeful in this area because so many people, this was a profession for so many people who had criminal backgrounds, and that you're literally snatching away the livelihood of so many people. And just like the expungement and sealing law has evolved, and now pretty much everything is expungible and sealable except for like 3 or 4 or 5 things, I do believe that they're going to have to address that can take into consideration the backgrounds of the people who have made a very good livelihood for themselves and are closed off from so many other things with their criminal history, and you've essentially snatched that from them overnight. So, you know, I am hopeful in that, you know, but you essentially have to plead your case when you go for your licensing exam, okay? The next thing I hear a lot of people talking about is transactional funding. All right, so transactional funding means you get an investor or a lender to give you the money to close the deal on the first transaction, and then you flip it to someone on the second transaction. How you fund your deal does not change the fact that you're still wholesaling. All right, because you're just going to go into a double closing. Well, hello, red flag to the title companies right there. Why are you double closing? Okay, why? If it's your first one in a 12-month period, okay. But if it's your second one, ding, 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 why are you double closing? So I'm not necessarily sure that transactional funding is going to be the savior here, the end all be all. A lot of people have been, you know, circulating that, hey, get on transactional funding. Because if you read the law, you can't read it that just the section that they change. You have to read the entirety of it. And so, you know, in sections 7, 8, 9, and 10 subsections of the broker definition, you know, you had to get end buyers, right? You still needed to get an end buyer. So you were advertising or representing yourself as being engaged in the business of buying or selling real estate. Did you assist or direct in the procuring or referring of leads or prospects intended to result in the sale of real estate? Did you assist or direct in the negotiation of any transaction intended to result in the sale of real estate? Did you open the real estate to the public for marketing purposes? Those are all in the law. So look at section 1-10, the definition of broker, and then look at subsection 7, 8, and 9. So a lot of people are just focusing on section 5, which is the main change, but they're not looking at the law in its entirety, which is 7, 8, 9. So I'm not exactly sure that transactional funding, the way you're financing your deal, takes you out of the definition of wholesaling, or takes you out of the definition of broker. In fact, it puts you squarely into the definition of broker. So be careful, those of you who are trying to do the transactional funding route. It's not a placebo. It's not a panacea here. There's going to be some things going on that you need to be mindful of, because a title company is going to see a double closing and be like, why? What's going on here? All right. The second thing I've been hearing people talk about is, hey, partner with a broker. Hey, you know, send your deals to me. I'm a licensed broker, this, that, and the other. And again, I'm not sure that's going to help you as an unlicensed person engaging in real estate. I don't feel as though that's going to take you out of the definition of broker because of the way they changed this definition. Again, people are only looking at subsection 5. They're not looking at 7, 8, 9, and 10. Even if you partner with a broker, you're still what? Advertising and representing yourself to be engaging in real estate, buying or selling, right? You're assisting and directing and procuring of referring of leads, all right? You're assisting or directing in the negotiation for the sale that will result in the sale. So be mindful that there's so much more to this law and that definition of broker than just Section 5, which everybody seems to be focused on. So, this just came down. There's going to be a lot of gray areas. It's effective immediately. I have several wholesaling clients right now. One of them emailed me yesterday and was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Close out your deals, people. Close out your deals. That's the best I can tell you right now. So like, get your deal closed. If the title companies allow it, if it's cash deal, get it done. But don't run afoul of the law going forward. Don't try to enter into any new deals, any new negotiations if you don't have your real estate broker's license. I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, there's so many of us, they're never going to find us. They're never going to find out. That's not the right mindset to have. Wholesaling is wholly unorganized, which is how this all happened to you, because the real estate brokers have their organizations, local, state, and national, and they're organized, and they're getting things done, and they're getting things passed that benefit them, just like any other group gets things passed to benefit them and their constituents. So don't try to run afoul of it. I think the fines are too steep. It is a civil penalty. It's not a criminal, action or anything like that. But it's much cheaper and much quicker to get a real estate license if you're able to, than to run afoul of the law and risk so much more. Now let's talk about how this affects the other players. Illinois is a title closing state. Title companies are going to be on alert about this. All right. So they may require you to sign an affidavit. They love giving paperwork at closings. They might require you to sign an affidavit stating that you are not engaging in wholesaling this property, and you're not engaging in this, and you're not engaging in that. And if you sign that, then you could possibly open yourself to liability for fraud. So you can get into a title company and say, oh no, I'm just selling this to so-and-so, such and such, and you sign that waiver and it comes out that you are actually engaging in wholesaling. You could open yourself to some fraud issues. They may want to certify that you have a broker's license. They may want to see, they may just do a blanket statement and say, hey, nope, if you're doing it, you got to have a broker's license, period. We don't want any liability. We don't want to open ourselves up to any issues whatsoever. You have to certify that you have a broker's license. And again, I already spoke on double closings. I think that's going to be a red flag for title companies, because you all are going to try that transactional funding, and I spoke enough about that. How you finance your deal does not negate the fact that you're still wholesaling. That's it. It's just how you're funding it. It's still a wholesale deal. Attorneys. Some attorneys are going to require you to sign waivers or affidavits as well, or otherwise they won't work with you, saying that you're not a wholesaler, or you're not engaging in these things, or that you understand the law and that they've explained it to you or directed you to it, and that you certify that you're not engaging in any activity like that. All right. Or attorneys as well could just require you flat out to have a broker's license. They could just say, I don't deal with anybody who doesn't have a broker's license. They are well within their rights to require that, to protection of their practice, and for client purposes as well. So those are the main things that I wanted to go on and speak about this morning. If you all have any questions, feel free to type them in. I think, be mindful is what I want you all to know. Be mindful of all these different alternatives that are coming out and people are speaking about. you have to look at the act and the definition of broker as a whole, not just Section 5, where the major change has taken place. You'll still run afoul of this law dealing with transactional funding or partnering with a broker. All right. And don't think, oh, if I do one in my name in an LLC or partner with someone else, they've covered all of those bases, people. They've covered them all. So be mindful of that. I think the greatest alternative is just to get a real estate broker's license, and advocate. You have to advocate for yourself. So this is hurting you. You got to get with your legislators and say, look, I have a criminal background, but I've been straight and this has been my livelihood and I've been honest about it. I've been doing it. But now I would like to see some type of pre-licensing approval for people with criminal backgrounds. Okay. So that you're not paying all this money to get to the end for them just to say no. And I don't know if they have that process. I'm not a real estate broker. I don't know what the process is. But I would like to see some type of pre-licensing approval for people with criminal backgrounds. So it's like, if I have a criminal background, but it was 10 years ago, it was 15 years ago, but I don't want to spend this money to for you all just to tell me no, submit something. Say, hey, this is everything. I filled out the application. Are you going to approve me if I pass everything? I think that is a safer way, and it's a more humane way for people with criminal backgrounds to attempt to get their license. And I think, especially when you've been engaging in this for so long and it is your livelihood, that it could help. I know a lot of my real estate broker friends and clients are not mad at this law at all. They're quite happy about it. It could possibly push a lot more things to the MLS. A lot of wholesale deals are off market, but it could possibly push it to the MLS. So we'll see about that. It's going to be interesting to see what's coming down the pipe, though. Any other questions, anybody? Oh, I see it. All my real estate broker friends, they're all thrilled. Oh, I'm glad you all like the information. Hi, Makita. Anybody else? Yes. Hey, Sherry. All right. So this will stay recorded. It'll stay on my Facebook page. I'm also going to email it out to people who are subscribed to my newsletter, and you'll also get any and all updates. I am a real estate attorney here in Illinois. My name is Alexis Hart McDowell. My website is enterpriseesquire.com. The only thing I ask of you all is to sign up for my newsletter. On the website, go to Contact Us and then click the link for custom legal and business updates. That's my newsletter, okay? And then as this evolves, as this changes, as all the players start coming out with their new rules, regulations, from title companies to attorneys to brokers, I will certainly include that information in the newsletter. So please sign up for the newsletter. Thank you all. Have a great day. I'm off to the dentist and take my kids to camp. Bye.